We'll open up the meeting now to public comment for agenda items only. And when you do come up, please state your name.
Hi, Dean Riley. I had a quick question in regards to resignations. I was wondering if the board could share what constitutes a termination versus a resignation, and what is the process of accepting a resignation?
So, when people leave a district for either, there's a difference between resigning and a termination. So a termination of any employee in a school district, there are laws in effect in New York State. It is a very lengthy process, okay? So, if a person is in a teachers' union unit, there's various laws that protect people, and there is a kind of a long, drawn-out process to fire someone or terminate someone. In the support staff units, there's something called the Section 75 law that protects people who, if you've gone beyond your probationary period, kind of like a teacher, once they have tenure, it's not like in TV where I can just say you're fired. It's a long process that takes well over 60 up to 90 days to actually have the person terminated. So that's a difference between, that's how the process works. When someone resigns, it just means they've resigned that date, the board accepts the resignation, and it's done. They would then no longer be an employee of the district because they resigned.
Any other public comment?
You want to come to the mic? Mark?
I just had a question about under business and operations, 7, and letter E, is a change order. It says additional abatement. Can you tell me what, it says it was found, discovered in the field. Can you tell me what the abatement is, what they discovered?
We had a environmental survey done throughout all our buildings for various reasons, and it's been an ongoing process over the years. For this particular situation, we had univents and cabinets that had to be removed for our capital project at the elementary school. We were installing new univents, and in some areas it's unforeseen that there was abatement or asbestos tile underneath these cabinets that weren't recognized earlier in the survey. So that's where the additional money had to be spent to abate those areas so we can install the new univents and remove the cabinets.
Was it several rooms?
I believe this was 26 additional rooms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's quite a few rooms.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any other public comment? Okay, we'll close public comment, and we have a presentation tonight for reopening our schools, and this will be a board discussion. The superintendent, the assistant superintendent will present a reopening plan, and the board will have a discussion during that presentation.
So as the board's aware and the public's aware, I believe it was on Friday the 7th of August, Governor stated that schools in New York are going back. You do have to go back to instruction. The parents would have a choice of either a remote or basically a hybrid option, because you can't have everyone in the building at the same time and maintain all the social distancing rules. So parents, of course, do have that option. He also mandated to have 3 public forums virtually with the public, and one forum with faculty and staff. So Last Thursday, we had the staff forum in the morning at 9 a.m. We have the first public forum at 1 p.m. As I just stated, ending the last one, we had about 150 or 160 people that first day. Last night at 6 p.m., we had the second public forum. We had about 120 people. And then tonight we had about 60 or so people. And in each of them, we ended with a Q&A, trying to answer as many questions as possible. So, we're at the point where we do have to kind of, get schools open and move towards our remote and/or hybrid schedules. So, as of last night, though, so if you want to go to the next slide. So, as of last night, as I'm just getting to sleep almost, my phone lights up and it's some of the other school districts saying that they had special board meetings and they are delaying. So right now, Highland is the only school district in Ulster County that is starting on time. The rest of the county, in Ulster that is delaying until the beginning of October, give or take the last week in September or the first week in October. Now, some of them, once that happens, they are going to just kind of start school. Others are going to phase in students starting in October. Many of those school districts, everyone is in a different situation. We have all of our PPE in stock, as we've stated in our presentation. So we have our thermometers, we have our masks, gloves, all the protective things that we need. We do have those in place. So what we would like to present to the Board of Education for consideration is still obviously opening schools, but on a phased-in schedule, so that we can work through the protocols. So we've been talking about a lot of protocols, but we want to kind of phase those in to make sure we work out any kinks in the systems, any blips, anything where, you can put things on paper, but once you put them into practice, it can be slightly different. And the point of this is to, again, with the safety and health of faculty, staff, and students in mind, think of it like a soft opening of a restaurant. They want to make sure they have all the systems in place. We've all gone to a brand new restaurant that has opened and then waited 2 hours to get our food because they have all great intentions, but their systems aren't in place. So here is the proposal. And this would require board action because we will need to make some modifications to the district calendar. So the superintendent conference days would be moved. We'd still have the 4, but they would be moved where they presently are, which is the 1st to 4th. They'd be moved from the 8th to the 11th. So it would still be the 4 days of superintendent conference days for all of the training that has to occur for faculty and staff prior to bringing students into school or prior to that remote learning starting. Then the week of September 14th through 18th, if for the families who chose all remote, the remote instruction would begin that day of September 14th. The hybrid schedule would begin, but only for grades kindergarten and 3rd, and 6th and 9th. The remaining grades, not mentioned, would stay remote. They would remain remote, but they'd be assigned to their hybrid teacher schedule that would provide that the instruction to them on that Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday schedule, but it'll be remotely. So the week of September 21st to 25th, again, those remote students continue. If you're all remote, you're always going to be all remote. The hybrid schedule students, we would then add in, so in addition to K3, 6, 9, then grades 1, 4, 7, 10, and 11 would begin their hybrid AD schedule. And again, those remaining grades would stay all remote. And then, so that the last week in September, first week in October, again, remote instruction continues, and then the last grades, 2nd, 5th, 8th, and 12th would start, so that now all students would be in, well, either hybrid or remote. So I covered a lot of this, kind of just talking about that again. This moving the superintendent conference days, we will do all that same training that we would have done. In addition, this device distribution would occur for all students except for the hybrid kindergarten, 3rd and 6th, because they're going to be coming in the next week, so they'll receive them when they come in, because they will be in when everyone else is starting their work. So they'll receive the first week of school, everyone else will receive it that week of school. It also gives us a little bit more time to make sure the devices are ready to go and ready to be handed out to students who need them. Again, repeating week 1, the week of September 14th to 18th, again, the remote students begin. So this really shouldn't change, it may, but it really shouldn't change a parent's decision. If you chose remote, this plan shouldn't change your thoughts of choosing all remote versus hybrid. The remote students begin. Hybrid students, again, 3rd, 6th, and 9th. Now, why, kindergarten, 3rd, 6th, and 9th. Why these grades? So we wanted to get the students who are kind of new to that building and at that transition stage in. So the kindergartners are coming in, the 6th graders are coming because it's their first time at the middle school, the 9th graders are coming in, it's their first time to the high school, and we need to start getting some of the other grades in. The configuration of the elementary is really based on the wings, so that we'd be occupying one wing at a time of the building. So that's how the grades are broken up in that building. So again, we prioritize the grade levels based on the newness of the building. Again, remember, the remaining hybrid students, so that's grades 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, they will begin, but it'll be remotely and with their assigned teachers following their hybrid schedule, so it won't change. It'll just be hybrid. And again, the point of this, that first week, remember, we've been talking about the things that our faculty and staff will be required to do. With parents' help, I know parents are going to do those safety checks. But on the buses, we have to take temperatures of everyone. We need to take the temperatures of everyone who's being dropped off by their parents or guardians. So we can say, oh yeah, we're going to get all that done, but this way we can ease into it and make sure the batteries in the thermometer are working correctly. All those things that can pop up in an emergency situation. Remember, there's about, in our district, I'll round it off, there's about 130 students in every grade, give or take. So that first week, and you're only going to have half the students there. So the first week in the elementary school, you would have, on any given day, about 65 kindergartners and about 65 third graders. So in the entire building, there'll only be 130 students coming in. So that's only 130 students that will go through our protocols so that we can make sure we're doing it well, doing it right, and working out any problems in our systems. In the middle school, there'll only be 65 students the first week on any given day because it'll be the 6th grade. Only half of them will be there. And then the same thing with high school. In the entire building, there'll be 65 students. And again, allowing us to work out all those issues that that some people are worried about. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? Well, it'll be phased in over 3 weeks so that by the 3rd week, even by the 2nd week certainly, that we will work out any problems we have, any issues we have in some of our plans. So again, phase 2, September 21st to 25th, and then the phase 3 is the 29th to the 30th. Remember, remote-only students, they've already started. They started that first day, the 14th, they're remote. The 21st to 25th, then you have your K3, 6, 9, they continue in their hybrid, so they're still coming in. Now you're adding in grades 1, 4, 7, 10, and 11. They'll begin their hybrid schedule. Remaining hybrid students will stay remote. That's grades 2, 5, 8, and 12. And again, the last week of September, first week of October, grades 2, 5, 8, and 12 will begin their hybrid in-person schedule. The calendar adjustment I did mention earlier, we would need to take action if we wanted to do this plan. We would move our superintendent conference days to the 8th to the 11th. We would then need to put 4 days back into the calendar so that we have a required number of school days. So November 3rd, election day, which we made into a holiday a couple meetings ago, would now be again a day of school, of instruction. December 23rd, that was a day of instruction, went to a holiday, would go back to a day of instruction. And then we would simply remove 2 of the emergency days. So right now we have 7 snow days, we would go to 5 snow days. And as always, if you go over your 5 snow days, then there is an order in the district calendar of where those days come out of in order. And that happens always during the spring break. Again, I'm going to go back to the analogy. Picture a soft opening of a restaurant or any other business. This will allow us to kind of work through all of our systems so that by the time all students are there, we will have all protocols. And the idea, I get it, we're all worried. This is, we have no magic, we don't have a crystal ball to say everything's going to be perfect. So this gives us the best opportunity to make sure we keep everyone safe, because there is an apprehension that I completely understand and appreciate on behalf of parents and guardians, of students, and of course faculty and staff are apprehensive about school starting and how we're going to do this. I think overall I am confident that there is an absolute trust of faculty, staff, and administration that we do a great job here, but this is a new world, and we feel that this kind of gives us the most chance for the best success. There is a reason why all schools did delay, because I'm sure they're having a lot of the same issues, though some of those schools are much bigger than us, and they do have the issue that they don't have all their PPE in place as we do. The reality is school has to eventually start. So I realize that anything short of everyone returning to school, to full-time school in person, is going to cause hardship. So whatever plan that we come up is going to cause hardship for many families. The reality is, though, we just can't open as business as usual. We can't just have everyone come to school. We can't just say, well, everyone's just staying home for the year, because until the governor says we can do that, we can't do that. So the slow phasing of this in-person instruction over the month of September will ensure that students, faculty, and staff are mentally and physically safe. Our protocols and procedures are in place so that we're able to effectively execute the health and safety guidelines and the learning plans for everyone. Now, we fully understand, I understand completely, and appreciate that this decision may cause people to be upset with the district and with me. But I truly feel that the gradual phase-in approach will help ensure the health and safety of everyone in the district, and will put us in the best position for a meaningful, effective instruction in a safe learning environment. So certainly, let's have some board discussion on this. Obviously, if the board chose to do this, we would, through all of our public relations, and we would get this out immediately. Certainly, if you vote on this, I would say half the district's going to know about it tonight, which is a good thing. And then we will make arrangements to get all it's not changing the hybrid or remote models at all. So those 3 presentations we did and all the procedures we said we're going to do, that's all the same. The only difference is the phasing in of students.
Okay, I'll open it up to board members. Please, we're on Zoom right now, so speak into your mic so everyone can hear you out in the audience. So if there's any questions or comments, you can chime in at this time. Sue?
Tom, I think your plan is a good one. I do think it's needed, since we are the last school district that we're staying on our original plan. The only issue that I see is changing the superintendent conference days. November 3rd will now become a day of instruction. That's election day, and for a great deal of population in our entire country, that's going to be a significant day, so I am not in favor of having that become a day of instruction. Other than that, I think your plan is needed. There's just too much uncertainty right now. Thank you.
Thank you.
As far as I'm concerned, I kind of like the idea of that soft opening. I'm looking at population of our elementary school on a normal given school day is roughly 700 plus students. With this plan, we're bringing in 130 of those students. So it's about 1/6 of the population. It'll allow the staff to be able to manage those children in a safe environment as best possible. It'll also allow us to have the staff, the teachers, to have that face-to-face learning experience with their students. I look at it a little differently than back in March. March, the teachers had the opportunity to see their students from September through March and know the pace that they can learn at. If we go right into virtual in the beginning of the school year, most of those teachers have new faces. That this way, they'll be able to connect and have a face-to-face experience with those students, and then also have the remote. So they have a better understanding of the child's ability to learn at what pace, so forth. Middle school is the same way. I mean, we got 400 plus middle schoolers on a given normal school day. We're only bringing in 65 with this soft opening. And the same with the high school. There's 500 plus high school students on any given normal school day. We're bringing in 65 of the high school students. So I think it's a doable plan, and I know there's parents out there that are questioning it. And I understand that. Everybody looks out for the safety of their children. We do too, and I think from September 14th, which is when we're bringing students in face-to-face, to what other districts are doing 3 weeks later, what will change in those 3 weeks? I don't think the governor will change anything. If cases of COVID-19 increase, then of course everybody's got to adjust. But I think it's a doable plan, and I give it my blessing to move forward with it.
I agree with the plan. I agree with the soft opening. I think it is a smart move for us. You know, we do have all PPE in place, whereas other districts may not, who are deciding to go all remote, so they have very good reason to. I admire the administration for looking at how to bring those students in, so bringing in the newer students to those buildings first. As I was watching the presentation, it occurred to me that that's why it was done. I applaud you guys for thinking that way, because I think that will give those students, too, additional time to adjust to a new surrounding. The only question that I have is students who initially expected to start in a hybrid arrangement, but are now going to be remote for, say, maybe the first week or the first 2 weeks. What should they expect from the instruction for those weeks? Would it be still more so that A/B, because if you have kids starting in that, is that going to be tougher? Or are they going to be doing more of like that Wednesday remote, since everybody is still working remotely at that point?
So it will be, it'll all be remote for those students, but it will be on that AP schedule. So that's where we offering, there will be some things that students will only receive on their at-home day. We can't just go like straight schedule Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, because then they'd be missing some of their schedule. So they will be meeting, a high school student will still follow their schedule that they be doing in person in school on Monday, Thursday, and then the Tuesday, Friday would be whatever kind of schedule they'll be following. It's confusing, but when they go to school on their at-home day, because we want to introduce everybody as best we can. Will there be some things that might not be in place for that at-home day quite yet? So like if there's AIS services that are happening on the at-home day, or some of the counseling and that scheduling takes a little while to be put in place. So the students might not be quite as busy on the at-home day for the first couple of weeks until we get all those schedules going. But for the most part, they'll be receiving instruction, and then their Wednesday day would be just like the Wednesday day if they were in the hybrid system. So we're going to try to mimic it to the best of our ability. But there, again, with all of this, I think there's going to be some adjustment that's happening when, what we put on paper doesn't match the reality of what is actually happening. But we're going to try to do that best we can.
So for, say, elementary school classroom, if on that A/B schedule, if A is your day, you're on, it's going to be more interactive.
Yes.
The synchronous
More
mode that you're
synchronous,
talking about. Okay.
again, the best that we can.
Right, exactly.
But we're also going to be thinking about the developmental needs of our students. So, the kindergarten are going to be on there from 9 in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, probably not, right? But they will be having interaction on those days. And that's part of the superintendent's conference days at the beginning. We're going to be doing device distribution then too for the students who are on the remote only instruction. So they should have their devices. And really, that first week or so is going to be a lot more about the safety training that we need to do, getting acclimated on the virtual environment. It's going to be a lot more of those kinds of lessons than your straight up academic lessons.
Thank you.
Tom and Sarah, thank you very much for the work you put into this. I like the document, I really do. I share Sue's same concern over Election Day. It's an important day, and we really should get back to realizing the importance of that day. I want people to have every opportunity to go out and vote, including our staff and the parents of our students.
Yeah, that's a pretty easy fix. And when I look at the schedule, you have, the only place to really go to is the spring break, which is March 29th to April 2nd. It would probably it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense just to take Monday the 29th. Could you just give me a hand just pass this out?
Yeah, I would like us to look at this
Yeah, so take a look at, Ms. Dudley will hand out the
calendar.
I won't speak again until I pass it.
At the same time, I'll just continue and go on to the next one. Again, introducing that first group of students to the new building is an opportunity that was lost for them. That usually happens over the summer, so it's a little give back to our students. Yes, we do care, and we want you to be comfortable. So, that being said, I give the plan high marks. I really like it. Well put together, iron out the kinks, and at the same time, we're getting a jump start in a controlled environment. So,
you have my vote. I hope we can change that day.
Okay, absolutely. So if you look at your calendar, most of the days off are pretty much set. They're around national holidays. But if you look at March, so you have Monday the 29th to Friday the 2nd. So you could say, we only have to make up one day. So you could go either way. You could say, well, students would come to school on Monday the 29th. But that's always tricky too, when you have a whole week off and the students are only attending on Monday. There sometimes tends to be high absenteeism on those days. Because when you go over your snow days, you start going to the spring break anyway. So I would suggest just going from 5 snow days to 4 snow days, and if we use more than 4, you're going to go to start taking them off the spring break. Now, we haven't had this discussion yet, but I'm going to put it out there because I'm sure people are talking about it. You know, in this new remote world that we are in, we've been thrust into, there may or may not be snow days as we think of them, okay? Because why would you need a snow day if everyone has all remote capability, basically? So I wouldn't be I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, but it's a discussion that needs to take place, and I'm sure we'll be having that amongst our superintendents with Dr. Corey and BOCES. So I don't see any harm in going from 5 snow days to 4, and we're either going to not have as many snow days declared, and they'll just be remote days, or we'll just go into the spring break as we normally do. So I would you would have November Election Day, which is the 3rd, would be a holiday, and then you would just have one less snow day.
I would agree with that. I mean, staying with our hybrid model right now, Wednesday's a total remote day, and possibility of a snow day falling on a Wednesday is still going to be a remote teaching day.
Right.
And we really don't know what the second half of the school year is going to look like yet.
Correct.
Just getting back to hopefully reassure some of the parents, and this is my thought process. In Ulster County, and I know the superintendent alluded to that originally, that we're the only school that is looking at this model. Everybody else has already decided to go remote until sometime in the beginning of October. We're one of the smaller districts in the county, so it makes it a lot easier for us to move in this way. Some of the larger districts, it's probably more difficult to be able to do that. So, and I give kudos to our staff, our administrative staff, for being able to secure all the proper PPEs and have enough on hand to probably carry us through the year. And some other school districts don't have that opportunity right now to, for whatever reasons, but it could be some of the reasons why they're going remotely to try to secure more of their proper PPEs and put protocols in place. But, again, I'll echo what Mr. Miller had said. I give kudos to our administrative staff and everyone for working hard. It's an unusual circumstance right now. I know we've gotten a lot of questions from parents, and we can answer them to the best of our ability, but we don't know. We don't know. So I again, give kudos to the staff, and I endorse this soft opening.
So parents would still need to make their choice by tomorrow, because we still need to know to get the schedules all put together of whether they're hybrid or all remote, and whether if they are hybrid, whether they're going to take our transportation or whether they're going to drive their children to school. Besides that, then we would, as I said, we would get the information out to everyone through all our social media and our normal means so that everyone is aware of this change.
I support the plan as well. So we're going to change to election day. The one thing I like to see fleshed out before we start the school year is just what it looks throughout the day that is, we have a parent that is concerned, but just want to see more about what that was, what that's going to look like for the kids that will be at home for the first 2 weeks of the school year. Just to, I know this is, those changes, maybe just to see that will maybe.
And we had talked about doing another parent evening or presentation like we've been doing, with more of those details, probably at the beginning of the
Maybe, on Monday or
yeah, so that we
or
can
this
lay it out.
Friday, perhaps, yeah. So we'll have at least one more parent forum, not to go over the 50-slide presentation, but just this plan. So really using probably the same plan with some modifications to it, so that everyone is aware of what to expect during those first 3 weeks when their child is still at home, even though they chose the hybrid.
I too think this is an excellent solution to a very difficult situation. Of course, there's even more work for your staff and you to notify each individual student when their start week will be and all that follow. But I think this plan, of course, first and foremost is the health and safety of the students, the faculty, and their families all around. Because without that, you can't teach. And I think that you're taking that into consideration. I think the soft opening is probably preferable to what the other districts are doing in October because it does allow us that ability to get up to pace. Another way of looking at it is like a student driver. We have a lot of new factors, a lot of new things to become aware of, and with a smaller population, we're driving the rural roads, the country roads, and we're not going to get on the freeway until we're well done, we're aware of all the things on our radar. So I think this is really one of the most intelligent approaches I can think of what you've thought of. And I really do want to strongly support it, and thank you for putting in all the time and effort.
It was a team effort.
Okay, does anyone else have any questions? I don't believe we need a resolution.
So we don't need a resolution. We appreciate the board's support on this.
Yep.
The only resolution we would need to make is to change the district calendar. So we need a resolution moving the superintendent conference days from September 1, 2, 3, 4 to September 8, 9, 10, 11, making November 3rd a holiday and reducing the snow days from 5 to 4.
We can change December 3rd.
And December 23rd. Yes,
Not the day of the-
yes, sorry.
We'll move that under new business.
Yes. Now remind me of what it was.
Yeah.
Even under that December 23rd day is
Yes, December 23rd. It'd have to be a day of instruction again.
But it's a remote day anyhow, the 23rd, isn't it? It's a Wednesday.
That is a Wednesday, yes, but if we still, for the district calendar purposes, we have a right number of days in our calendar, we'd have to change it.
Okay, does anyone else have any comments? We'll move on. Acceptance of reports, be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves and acknowledges reviewing the following reports. Board of Education meeting, June 25th, 2020, and July 7th, 2020, which was our reorg meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Camille, second. Sue? Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Under personnel, is there an issue with not taking it as a block from A through E? We're good? Okay, can I have a motion to take personnel from A through E as a block? Motion by Ed, second by Heather. Discussion?
So if you remember at the last meeting, we needed a correction to be made in the extracurricular appointments of the senior class advisors, so that correction is there. And we are happy to be hiring the consultant services of Dr. LeBlanc that we'll talk a little bit more about under our reports.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. We'll move on to business and operations. Be it resolved on budget transfer. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, approves the budget transfer for the 2019-2020 school year as follows. Number 10651 for $1,058,275. Budget transfer number 10652 for $135,000. And budget transfer 10661 for $114,000. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Tom, second by Camille. Discussion?
Can you just review what those budget transfers are, Mrs. Chilek?
Yeah.
Hi. So the budget transfer number 10651 and 10652 are for the 2019-2020 school year. Specifically, the transfers are for tuition from other public school districts. That is specifically for students that have moved into the district since the budget vote occurred and will require special education services. Our auditor lets us encumber those at year end because they were not budgeted for. There are 3 transfers to BOCES, CAI, computer assisted instruction. That's specifically for buying new technology devices dealing with COVID-19. There's a $10,000 unemployment transfer that is to cover unemployment claims above what is budgeted in the 1920 budget. And there are some O&M transfers, operation and maintenance, for contractual and materials and supplies. That is to bring forth funds into the 2021 budget for those COVID-19 supplies that the district might not have budgeted for. Budget transfer number 10661 for $114,000 covers the financial year end of the school lunch fund as of June 30th, 2020.
Thanks, Mrs. Chilek.
On the transfer for the cafeteria fund, that is in addition to our standard transfer that we do.
Absolutely. That covers the loss at year end.
Okay, is there any other questions? We have a motion by Tom, second by Camille. All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Change order for Darlin Instruction. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, hereby approves Darlin's change order for project 62-08-04-03-0009-013 as follows. Labor, equipment, and material, the length and the canopy ceiling to 6 foot versus the specified 5 foot, an increase of $13,331.90, which brings their original contract sum now to $2,400,000, an increase to the original contract sum of $2,412,000. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Tom, second. Second by Sue. Discussion?
This is an immediate center.
Correct. This is they call the clouds in the media center that got increased in size to cover the square footage a lot better. Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Change order for Del Signor. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, hereby approves Del Signor's change order. Additional tree and shrub removal of trees and shrubs that are originally scheduled to remain, $2,692.24. That's an increase to the original contract sum of $1,756,308. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Sue, second by Camille. Discussion?
Yeah, that one's pretty self-explanatory. There was just some extra trees that had to come down. Unfortunately, my favorite tree outside my office could not make it. It would have died just because of the amount of roots that had to be cut out to put the sidewalk in.
Right. Okay.
Will there be any, will be sufficient shrubbery and trees put in the front of our property to replace these?
I'm not sure.
We haven't talked about that, but that's certainly, I would be interested in talking about that and looking at a budget to do that. So that could be, once the project is complete.
Any other questions? All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Tax levy. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the following 2020-2021 real property tax levy and library tax resolution as attached and presented to the board at this meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Sue, second by Camille. Any discussion? Just as FYI, our overall taxable assessed value increased this year by another $12,205,219, which was an increase of about 1% over last year, I assume, Lisa?
Yeah.
All right. The library levy remained the same, and there was some ups and downs on percentage in regards to the equalization rates. And for those that are out in the audience and at home, we're made up of 5 municipalities as far as our tax base for the school district, which is Esopus, Lloyd, Marlboro, New Paltz, and Plattekill. We draw populations from all those areas. Is there any other questions? We have a motion. All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Change order under specialty trades. Be it resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, hereby approves specialty trades change order for additional abatement of $55,908.25, which will increase the original sum of $145,500. Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Ed, second by Heather. Is there any discussion? I think we already explained this to everyone. All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. We have an additional change order for Del Signor. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves Del Signor's change order for project additional work required by the Ulster County Department of Health related to the well pit in the front of our bus loop. The amount of $13,031.37. Additional increase to the original contract sum of $1,756,308. Have a motion, please. Motion by Sue, second by Ed. Discussion?
I get one more question. I just remember that going back to Del Signor's other change order. Have we checked to see if any of those trees might have been memorial trees
don't know the answer.
Quite a few years ago, when we had a project at the middle school, there were some trees that were taken down that we had to replace in kind somewhere, because they were trees that were planted in, as a memorial to an individual.
I'll check with Mr. Miller.
I feel like we were okay with these, but I'll let you know.
Right, we'll double check.
Thank you. Okay, we have any further discussion on the $13,031.37 change order for Del Sigma? A motion by Sue, second by Ed. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Sarah?
I'm going to come up and I'll speak at the microphone there, so that everyone can hear me. Good evening, everyone. I want to give the board an update on the work that we have done with the district-wide climate and culture movement, racial equity. We've done quite a bit of work since our last board meeting, really since the July 7th meeting that we had. As you saw in personnel, we did hire Dr. LeBlanc as a consultant for this work, and he will be starting in September. One of our first items will be to create a climate and culture committee for the district-wide committee. We will be announcing specific application procedures for that at the September 8th Board of Education meeting. The board will still need to determine really how big they would like that committee to be and who they would like to sit on it, in meaning, how many parents, how many faculty members, students, what the representation they'd like to see on that group would be. So that's an item, and Dr. LeBlanc is going to work with us through that process. And then Dr. LeBlanc, I'm going to announce it here, but we'll be sending more details out through our social media channels. He will be conducting, starting out, 3 focus group meetings with parents in the month of September. The focus groups will be comprised of 6 to 8 people, last between 45 minutes and an hour. They will be done through Zoom, so they will be remote. He's going to start with 1 focus group meeting in each building. So September 15th, he will be doing a focus group meeting with elementary school parents. September 22nd will be a focus group meeting with middle school parents. And September 29th will be a meeting with high school parents. If parents are interested, they should email Carly Jacobson, and the email address is cjacobn@highland-k12.org. Please understand that we won't be able to have every person that may be interested participate in these first 3, but this is just the first in a series. We will be continuing to do these focus groups as we move through the school year. In addition to that work in the evening, those will be happening at 6 p.m. I don't know if I said that or not. In addition to that work, he will be also in district meeting with focus groups of students and teachers. And again, because of the nature of what school looks like right now, much of that will be done remotely with students. So he'll be really trying to put together a picture of our district from that perspective of climate, community, racial equity, and that sense of belonging that we want all students to have. So that will be one of his first steps. He'll be helping us create the climate and culture district-wide committee. On top of that, and then one of his other things will be looking at a series of surveys that will go to all students, all parents, and all staff. So even if a parent or a student doesn't want to participate in a focus group, a more one-on-one kind of discussion, they will have the opportunity to share their views or their experiences through the climate surveys that will be created. And generally speaking, those will be something that only takes 15 to 20 minutes to complete. We'll ask a series of questions, and parents will share their experiences through that. work that we're going to be starting with Dr. LeBlanc, I've met 3 times now with a group of teachers who have come together. Mr. Tatum mentioned the group at the last meeting, but I've met with them as a group of about 8 or 9 teachers who want to do this work in the district and help spread it throughout the district. One of the first things that they're going to work on is looking at rubrics for conducting curriculum reviews. This is something that we've talked about before, and really looking at representation within our curriculum and making sure that we are showing the whole picture as much as possible. So this group of teachers will be researching, starting with the NYU Culturally Responsive Scorecard that we mentioned before, but then they will also research at least 2 similar tools, compare, contrast, and then make an evaluation and formulate a proposal for using those tools within the Highland School community, and then, thoughts about how we can engage the staff in that work. They will be formulating and proposing that information by the end of September for us. And then the last thing that we're working on, each of the building level PBIS teams is working on a campaign in their building to really address the use of language and creating positive and welcoming school culture. So not only will that be emphasizing the positive language, but minimizing the use of words that can be hurtful to others, not only by race, but other hurtful language. And again, the reason the building level teams are creating this is so that it's appropriate for each of the grade levels. And part of what will happen once we have that district-wide committee, we'll be looking at forming committees at each building level as well. So this work, as we stated before, is not something that's happening quickly. It will take us time. As you've all heard, we have a lot of things going on all at once. Right now, we're not putting that work to the side, but it does need to fit in with the work that we're doing to open schools and get started. So that's where we are with all of that beyond the opening of school. Any questions on that?
Good start.
Thanks, Sue.
Thanks. Mr. Bon Jovi?
Yeah, I wanted to start again by thanking the public, the faculty and staff. It's their job to question what we do. It's their job to, I know they have the students, their children, that's their first priority. So, they were hitting us hard with some questions, and that was fantastic. All communication is good communication. So, if we didn't answer them, we're going to do our best to answer every question. There's some questions, that perhaps we can't answer. People have been very good about asking some really difficult questions. And again, we're not going to be able to foresee, just like if none of this happened and we just had school, there are questions that people can think of that, for every possible situation. But, we're going to do our best to answer those and certainly deal with them. I do thank the board for their support of the phased-in reopening option. Again, I'm repeating myself, but we do need to get to these plans. We do need to start the hybrid. We need to start the remote, and this will set us up for the most success and give us a little bit of time to tweak anything that will need changing. I don't want to repeat everything Mrs. Dudley-Lemming said. We are very excited. Again, some of the work, just to review that we've already completed or are currently working on, is that searching, interviewing, and hiring Dr. LeBlanc. Again, we would love to say we could do that in a day. That's just not the reality. So we took some time. We met with and spoke with some of our neighboring districts. Dr. LeBlanc rose to the top, and we are glad that the board supported the hiring of Dr. LeBlanc. We are reviewing the code of conduct. It is with our attorneys right now, so we'll be meeting with the attorneys to ensure that our code of conduct ensures and promotes racial equity. Once we form we want the district equity committee to weigh in on this before we make any changes. So we want as many people to have a say in this. So we will have them weigh in on the code of conduct. As Mrs. Dudley-Lemick said, she's already reached out and is meeting with various district stakeholders, and we're right now currently in the process. She talked a little bit about it, Mrs. Dudley-Lemick, reviewing course offerings and racially insensitive language in the district. So again, regardless of what the reopening of schools looks like, but we now have a much clearer picture of what it is going to look like, please be assured that we are committed to having this framework in place to help address and promote racial equity in our district so that students can feel safe in our school environment as they should. That is all I have for now, Mr. President.
Any questions for the superintendent? Thank you.
Thank you.
The Board of Education, new business, or the district calendar update. Be resolved, the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the superintendent, approves the revised 2020-2021 district calendar to be modified to move the September 1, 2, 3, 4 superintendent conference days to September 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. December 23rd will be changed to a day of instruction, and we'll have 4 built-in snow days.
And then November 3rd. To me.
Well, that's already on, that was already on. Probably taking that off.
Okay. Got it.
Okay?
Mhm.
Can I have a motion, please? Motion by Tom, second by Heather. Discussion?
Again, thank you to the board for your support. This, again, I believe will put us in the best possible position to provide a safe and welcoming learning environment for all involved, and to hopefully alleviate a lot of the concerns that I know that parents, faculty, and staff, and students presently have.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Any other new business? Under old business, I guess a quick capital project update. We're moving along at the elementary school. With the change in the calendar now, I'm sure the contractor.
We're not going to tell them that, though.
Right. I'm sure some of the contractors will be a little excited that they bought another 5 days of, or actually 4 days of first shift work in the school project. The high school with the bus loop, I believe that our last support service meeting, the scheduled date for paving is August 27th, and it looks like it's on target for that, so that should be paved and topsoil spread and moving along, ready for opening day. And our media center roof is the one that we anticipated a slight delay, so that'll be worked on through the month of September into the early part of October. I want to thank the support service. I mean, we've been meeting regularly every 2 weeks since May, and I think they got a good handle on the project, and with the help of the superintendent, we moved some of our issues along and got them completed. I want to thank the support service committee for that. Any questions in regard to the capital project?
I did get a chance just this past weekend to go out and see the field out there. It looks phenomenal, so, I think we're seeing a lot of positive changes to our schools.
Absolutely. Hopefully, with things go well, maybe we can utilize that field in the spring for our sports program, or hopefully for some outdoor fresh air for our high school students this fall. All right. Anything for the good and welfare of the district? Okay, I'll open the meeting up to general public comment.
Andy Teresi, I live on Bear Drive. I think I met some of you. I'm pretty sure most of you know my daughter. My son Nick will be a rising freshman this year in high school. So it's a pleasure to talk to you tonight. I want to start by thanking you all for your dedication to the district. I know that your jobs are tough, your hours are long, and that you hear much more from disgruntled parents than ones that want to praise you. So I'll try to hit the middle of the road on that one. Overall, I believe the approach that Mr. Bon Jovi put forward tonight is actually a good one. I think a phased approach is a great idea. Anyone who's been in business understands that you can't hit the ground running with 700 students on day one. So I think that's a good thing. I do have two concerns, though. My first is that it's a surprise for parents. There were 3 meetings held with parents in the last week, the last of which ended 11 minutes before this meeting started. Not a word. When was the board meeting aware of the plan?
When was the board meeting?
Pardon me?
Can you repeat that?
When was the board made aware of the plan? We heard it when you heard it, despite the fact that we had 3 meetings discussing what our options were.
Within the last day or so, and this evening with the presentation, when the board got a look at it.
That's fair, and having served in a number of businesses, I understand that to be true. And that's what I would have expected. I wouldn't expect the superintendent to come here and surprise you with that plan. I am disappointed that he surprised us. My biggest concern is that the plan creates 3 different groups of students with different start dates. How is the district going to reconcile the fact that there are different numbers of instructions for each of the days of instructions for those groups? Some groups won't receive instruction for the entire month of September. Does that mean their end date is in July?
Let me just go back to, and we're not gonna have a debate.
I appreciate the answer. It was normally during
But I just want to,
answer.
I just want to comment on your previous question.
Yeah.
All of Ulster County was not sure of which way they were going as far as opening school, either totally remotely or with a hybrid model. As of 8/18 was when the majority of them made the decisions, and superintendent and assistant superintendent worked on a plan, because we knew, the entire board knew prior to today or even yesterday, that we had the proper PPE in place, that we could open with a hybrid model. But because of the, let me finish.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I apologize.
Because of the concerns of the parents, we modified that to a soft opening. And I think the board is quite pleased with that, and we're moving forward.
And I'll go back to where my initial comment was. I think the soft opening overall is a great plan.
But your comment was when
My concerns
when
are
was the
2.
district aware of it?
1, a pattern of communication from the district itself, not the board, where parents are encouraged to participate in conversation, and then are presented an answer that wasn't one of the choices they were discussed. And the second, and that could be petty, we could consider that petty, I think it's important. But more important than that is, how do you get 180 days from every kid in the district when a third of them start 14 days late and a third of them start 28 days late?
That's not correct.
Well, the remote instruction will count as the days.
So hybrid kids will have completely remote instruction for the month of September?
They'll have those, it'll be similar to, it'll be like a Monday, Monday, Thursday, Tuesday, Friday, remotely.
So instruction doesn't start in class on those days, but hybrid kids start their instruction on the 14th no matter what.
Correct.
I didn't see that in the plan. I appreciate your time, I appreciate the fact that you let me question you.
That was part of the question I had asked earlier.
I was probably driving. I was home listening to this. Thank you all for all your, thank you.
Any other public comment?
Hello, Dean Riley. I first wanted to say that I'm glad the district posted their plan on the website. And once you get past the first 2 sentences, as let me be clear, racism is not a horrible word. It's a horrible system designed to oppress people. There are plans and actions I'm glad to see the district begin. What I came to ask from you tonight is to please continue to be transparent. The goal of all of this work is to do better for our students, all of our students. And I hope the board understands that we continue to come to the board meetings not to be an annoyance or inconvenience, but because we need to do better and hold one another accountable. And for us to do that, we need transparency. Transparency in the outcome of the review of the Code of Conduct, transparency in the goals that will be established and measured, and how their success, in measuring their success or effectiveness, transparency in what a racial equity committee will look like and do, transparency in Dr. LeBlanc's assessments and suggestions to the district, transparency in the review of course offerings and the development of a district equity plan, transparency in what trainings the faculty and staff will receive, transparency in what assemblies will be held. Transparency, as I said before, so we can hold one another accountable. And I will say I appreciate tonight's specifics, discuss it tonight with Dr. LeBlanc as well. I also want to clarify a point that I had made last meeting, and how we must be able to prioritize both our reopening and COVID response as well as racial equity. And how I felt that they were connected. Well, my point was that we must prioritize racial equity teaching because our Black students and our Black community members aren't able to depend on the same medical treatment as their white counterparts. As several studies have shown, that medical professionals see Black bodies as able to handle more pain or less intelligent and passive. Thus, we must educate our students in hopes to give them the tools and knowledge to go into society aware of systemic racism and encourage them to actively try to dismantle it. Again, I reiterate that this is extremely important and necessary work that must be done. And I appreciate, as I said, the more specific details and plans shared tonight. And I look forward to continued communication, updates, and hopefully more transparency. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Christina Osborne. Does it sound? Yeah, it sounds like it. I'm the middle school art teacher. I'm part of the diversity committee of teachers, and I just wanted to thank you for the work that you're doing and the seriousness of those testimonials and everything that came down in July. I also wanted just to offer an extension for us to work with you on the committee that you do come up with, and just continue to work with you in trying to make this better.
I'll have Mr. Boyd reach out to you directly so that he can assure you of the services that we can provide to you, so we can support you as much as possible during this phasing in time. What's your name again, just write out?
Kayleen DeMayo. Son is Landon DeMayo.
Thank
He
you.
is higher.
Can I just mention, as a son, I have a son with special needs as well, and I just want to make sure you understand one of your rights given this entire situation. And I also want to say this to everybody here, the parents, we love when you come up and communicate with us. Please don't ever walk away feeling that you shouldn't have shared or communicated your concerns. because that's really what we want to hear. So all of you, thank you for coming up and sharing those. But regarding your CSE, your Committee on Special Education, you always have the right to ask for an additional one, to have it revisited and reviewed. So since the situation is changing, you have the right to ask for, if you find that the way things were put in place last year don't fit for you now, you have the right to ask for another hearing and to talk with the teachers and the educators. I think Mr. Bon Jovi is going to expedite that process in your case, but I just want everybody to be aware that in those cases, you do have the right to contact the department and ask for things to be reviewed. It's never set in stone when it comes to meeting our children's needs.
Yeah, and I saw a couple of people like post on the parents group also that were reaching out to offer help and services for families, just with like the new, for essential workers and things like that, people who can't do the days at home and are struggling with the new plan and how they're going to do that. So I wasn't sure if there was also going to be options for people, or if we were going to share groups, teachers, assistants, anybody who might be able or willing to help on those days off that are well and capable, because that's also, I guess if you're going to struggle with mine, my son goes to a very good daycare right now, but he just has certain needs where I would prefer him I want him to get the best he can get. I want to do what's best for him. And if I can't do it all, I just want to make sure that I can do whatever I can. So, yeah, I mean, you have my name, so,
Yes, thank you.
yeah, please reach out.
You're welcome.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ivan Gordon. On the topic of equality for all students, what are we doing to make sure that the students and staff are educated about LGBT+ topics? As a trans man, I feel like the school had a strong lack of understanding. As much as they have good intentions, they didn't really understand that much, which has costed me quite a bit out of my education in the past 2 years that I have been out. So, yeah, what are we doing to make sure that the staff and the students are educated about that?
That's part of the work that we'll be doing with this culture and climate committee, and we don't want to focus just on one particular group. The education will be about making a more welcoming and supportive environment for all of our students. So I don't have a specific thing to tell you right this moment. But
Yeah, I was just making sure that we are involved in that and
to me, that work is about the entire school, community, and culture, not about one particular group.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you. Any other public comments? Okay, we'll close public comment, and again, just like Trustee Ed Meisel had mentioned, we appreciate the public comments. And I've always said this at board meetings. We need that dialogue. We encourage it for various reasons, and hopefully it doesn't take a situation to bring people forward. We've sat through many meetings with nobody here, maybe one or two individuals. But the board is open to all discussions, and if we don't hear what's out there, and even we've established probably 10 years ago student reps, and student reps should be able to give us that feedback of what's going on in the 3 buildings and what we need to know. And if it's something that can't be brought out into the public at that given time, we're open to bring student reps into our executive session to have that discussion. So this board is not turning anybody away, but we'd like to be able to continue the dialogue on twice a month when we meet. And like I said earlier, that there's been meetings when we're just us sitting here and no public comment. And that's sometimes gives us the perception that there's no issues out there. But it seems like there is, and now we're getting some more people to come to our meetings. And I think we got to open it up a little bit more broad than focusing on certain things. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in the school system. This Board of Education, some of us might have spouses in the district that we're privy to certain things, some of us don't, and we're not until either our administrators, our community members, our student reps, whoever, bring it to us. I encourage, the public comment. We've never really cut anybody off as far as a time. We allowed several weeks ago, spent 2 hours listening to the testimonies, and the board took all that to heart, and we moved forward on that. So again, thank you for your input, your public comment. Unfortunately, we have front-end public comment for agenda items only, which we like to have some feedback on agenda items, questions. Our back-end public comment is for general items. Again, thank you. We do not have executive session, guys, so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Heather, second by Tom. All those in favor? Opposed? So carried. Thank you, everyone.